So before I start filling in the holes, we need to do something with them. So the toggle switch is getting filled in and one of the pots getting filled in. And what I'm going to use, I'm not just going to lash in the filler. I've got these now. This is a bit of a sign from a construction project I worked on. The project was nearing the end. The site manager was just about to throw them all in the skip, and I asked the site manager for them, and it's great. This quite thick fibreboard is really good for model making. So I'm going to glue those into there, so I'll have a firm backing on which to start filling. Which is those. Now for the pickups that I'm not using, the pickup holes, I want a smooth finish on. So my dad, who's the woodwork king, has got these 2 blocks of wood. I've just taped them in because they kept falling out, and it's just to keep them in position. So rather than just putting a gallon, maybe not quite a gallon, putting loads of filler, I filled with these. They just sit shy of the surface. So once they're anchored in and glued in, I'm going to fill in. Now I'm going to slightly drill into these and slightly drill into the guitar body so the wood glue really gets in and has something to grip on. Also getting filled in will be the drill holes and where the old whammy bar sat. So yeah, making some progress, and we'll be filling this in very soon. The first type of filler I used was Holt's knifing putty. I found it far too runny and it was quite messy to work with. So we've done some filling in with the Holt's car filler. I've got to say I'm not that impressed with it to work with. I found it extremely runny, but it's filled some of the depression in. But it's not really, it seems to have shrunk. So what I've done is sprayed it with some grey car primer, put some more on, sanded it down again, and now we're going to use Milliput. If you don't know, Milliput is a 2-part sandable epoxy resin that I've used in modelling for years. It becomes rock hard, absolutely rock hard. Gloves on, because it can cause allergic skin reaction. I've never had a problem with it, but you never know. You just can't be too careful with these things. So let's get cracking with the Milliput. Being a 2-part system, Milliput is a bit like matter and antimatter. Don't worry, they don't do anything spectacular together, but you must never, ever mix them, because simply that's how they go off, and that's how they become absolutely rock hard. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this out. And it's just like plasticine, it really is. It really is fantastic stuff. So I'm going to put that back in there just with a, I'm actually going to just put the wrapper over it so it doesn't go rock hard. And let's get the other side out. There, so we've got Milliput. What we're going to do with it now is mix it. And what I like to do is get it fairly flat, get them both fairly flat, and then just work it. And it's a bit laborious, it's not great, it's better doing it with your fingers, but since it's an irritant, always wear gloves. Now what I like to do, you can see the camera, is just dip it in a little bit of water, and then, because it does go more malleable, So let's just get this fully mixed up. Now when you're doing this, it doesn't actually react or anything. It is just like playing with plasticine. It's pretty good stuff. So here we've got the milli pots all done. Again, let's put it in the water so it softens a bit. So it's nice and soft now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put it as low as we can onto the guitar. Now this is going to take a little bit of sanding down. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to bring it in a little bit. Put a bit of water on so you can work it in there. Mix with a big piece. I'm just going to work it in here. We can always come back and do some more. We can all got milli pots pretty cheap. As I said, it's going to take a bit of sanding down this. It's going to be a bit of a swine to sand, but this finish here is going to be absolutely like rock. Again, I'm going to moan about this like mad when I come to sand it down, because it's going to be pretty rock hard, but it is going to be worth it. It is. I hope. And let's just fill these holes in here. So what we want is a really nice and smooth surface. Put a bit more here. So it should take about 4 hours to go off. I'm going to leave it at work tomorrow, so I'm going to leave it for a couple of days. Got another little smooth down. And you'll be able to watch me complaining about all the sanding I'm going to be doing with this. But, you know, the end result with milli pot, if it's anything like with model making, it is absolutely, it sets like stone. Which is better than that. I should have used it in the first place, really. So that car fillet, didn't really like working with that. Milli pot's pretty easy to work with. Right, let's leave it and let it set. Right, so I filled it in, first of all, and I've given it a spray of primer. Actually, I've given it a few sprays of primer because I've actually had an electric sander on it. This epoxy resin is so damn tough. I'm actually quite pleased with it. I'm going to refill a tiny little indent there, and I laid up the epoxy, and there's a tiny indent there. But apart from that, I'm fairly happy. With the finish. So, a little bit more filling, a little bit more sanding, then we're ready to start the painting. Right, so the epoxy resin's filled in. It feels smooth. It feels really smooth. So what I'm going to do as a test, I'm going to put some grey primer over, because it's hard to see just how fine it is with this grey primer, and just see if it's perfectly smooth. Then I can start painting. So after using 2 lots of milli pot, the first one I put in on top of the wood and car filler. When I put some primer over it to test it, some grey primer, there's just a little indentation around the pickup, so I'll put some more on. Put some more around here. And I have used various grades of an electric sander. So the first one I used quite a coarse one to get the top layer off, because it sat on a few mil, then brought it down. This is like a kitchen worktop. It's perfectly smooth, so I'm really happy with this. So now we can proceed with priming and painting.